It's January the 1st, and I am in the mood for a New Year's resolution. Thank you for watching this video. I don't have a script, so this might be a little bit off the cuff. But I want to try something different in 2021, and it really, I need your help. I really struggle with the majority of what I call Western role-playing games. It's a problem. It really is. Now, let me explain. I need your help, and I need you to try listen to what I've got to say and give me the advice on what you think I should do differently. What am I not getting? What game gives me the approach, gives me the freedom, gives me the flexibility that I want? Because that's the problem. I don't want freedom and flexibility. I entered the world of role-playing games with the Final Fantasy series, specifically Final Fantasy X, which was one of the most linear and story-focused games of that franchise to that point. And what a story. If you've not played Final Fantasy X, go do it. It's actually quite a quick experience compared to the 100-hour RPGs you can have these days. And I'm not knocking 100-hour RPGs. Persona 5 is my most recent big role-playing game, and that is 80 at least hours if you want to experience the full story of just one single playthrough. And it's a fantastic story. You can almost treat these games as visual novels. They're storybooks. They've got a script which is tight with characters you care about, that you engage with. And the reason I care about them is because they have very specific, very well-focused starting points where you empathise with the character, and then they go on these journey of these character arcs. And maybe there's some flexibility. You have some control over the direction of the game. You have choices. I'm slightly fed up of the games with these fixed, more arbitrary decisions where you make one decision. Mass Effect 3, I think, is the worst of this. The entire Mass Effect's a fantastic middle ground, I'd say, for this, and my highlight of what I'm looking for in a Western RPG. It's just a really good story. Then it gets to the end, and all the way through the game, your decisions, the choices about which characters you interact with, who you help, has an effect on which characters like you and which characters don't like you. That's a gaming mechanic I can completely get behind. But then at the end of the game, it essentially comes down to what colour team are you? Red, green or blue? And the ending cutscene is 90% the same, but with some variations depending on whether you're the red, green or blue team. I don't care for that. Sometimes it's done well, sometimes it's not. What I want is just a well-told story, and that ending of Mass Effect 3 was just a big hard reject of... It's not a very satisfying ending. It's not that I bounced off the idea of the choice not making a difference, just that final confrontation, it fell completely flat on me. So here's the problem. When I'm playing a video game, any video game, now role-playing game mechanics have infected almost every aspect of gaming. Every game has a character skill tree, character unlocks, progression and functionality. They want to give you a variety of different playstyles where you can customize things to make it suit your tastes. And here's the problem. I don't have a preferred taste, but I also have zero patience for messing around in menus and trying out different playstyles and finding something that works. If the game's default playstyle is unengaging, I just stop playing. And yes, that inevitably means that when I'm playing these games with skill trees and damage debuffs, I just optimise for, I suppose you'd call it, damage per second. Although in a game like Spider-Man on PlayStation 4, that's not quite completely true. And there was some nice choice where I could unlock new movesets and new abilities that would make combat more interesting. But there was never really a choice. I never had to unselect one option to select another. It was just a choice of, oh, this looks like the most appealing skill to have next. I can get behind that skill tree. But the type of role-playing game that asks you to really invest in a character, and this is where Japanese, Eastern or Western role-playing games really diverge. The Japanese RPG, the JRPG genre, in my mind is codified most by the fact it's following a fairly linear story. It presents you with predefined characters, and then there's role-playing, choices, decisions, and you reach the end of the story, and that's it. The traditional Western role-playing game is much more closely aligned with its roots in Dungeons & Dragons, the tabletop board card dice game, where you invent a character, you invest in that character, you make critical choices about your statistics. And I hate doing this. I hate changing between weapons and armour that lower my stats in one thing to improve them somewhere else. I just don't engage with that type of gameplay. I Okay, give me a choice of which stats I want to unlock next, that's fine. But the moment a game starts to make critical choices of, oh, you can be good in that thing, but you've got to be bad in something else, I just stop having fun. I don't like thinking about this stuff. So I inevitably put the stats in the most boring choices, and I inevitably end up playing the games in the most boring way possible. And then I consider the game to not have been a fun game. But that's because, is it something to do with me? Is that something I'm doing wrong? What am I not investing in? What am I not getting? So, my New Year's challenge for 2022, I need to find a video game that will let me properly lose myself in the character. Now, the big obvious recommendations are out there, like Skyrim, Elder Scrolls games. I've played Morrowind, Oblivion and Skyrim, and I didn't lose myself in any of them. I rushed from place to place, doing and seeing interesting stuff, but largely I was just following the main game narrative. And this can be incredibly unrewarding. Now, it's not a good game. I recently finished Mass Effect Andromeda. I went back to revisit it to see if after all the patches and everything else, and now I have a more powerful console, could that game actually be salvaged after a very horrendous first impression? And the core missions, the core franchise, the central aspect of that game for the story, it's pretty good. I'd give it a 7 or 8 out of 10 rating. The side missions, the lose yourself in the character customization, just the idea that they want you to explore these big open worlds, it was just a time sink, and I would give the game overall much lower rating because its pacing is shot to hell. But again, Mass Effect's a bad example, but it is precisely the kind of game I did not enjoy because I did not lose myself in the central character. I was not making critical choices about which armour would give me buffs in this and debuffs in that to suit my playstyle. I simply got pistols, assault rifle, shotgun. Played through the whole game on those 3 weapon sets. That meant I missed out on a ton of experience and a ton of functionality that the people who made the game programmed into it. I never experienced it, I never saw it. Do I want to go back and replay the game with another playstyle? No! No, I really don't. It's Mass Effect Andromeda. But I'm glad I finished it the once. And the core missions I had fun with. So, what game can I get in a single playthrough that will really encourage me to try different things out? The closest I think I've had is Divinity Original Sin 2 by Larian Studios. I've done a co-op playthrough where I changed my playstyle up a couple of times, largely to try and suit what my partner was doing, because as we unlocked new skills, it became absolutely fine to go back into the hub and unequip abilities and get new, completely respec my character. But again, with Divinity Original Sin 2, we were playing preset characters. I played as Lose, and I got a really emotionally engaging, thought-pulling arc where I just got her character. Her storyline sang to me. I thought that was a really fulfilling storyline. But the gameplay and the character progression were just disconnected here, because it doesn't matter whether Lose is an archmage or a summoner or an archer. And I varied between all 3 playstyles, and I also had a secondary character to be much more of a brawler and heavy grunt. I never had to make these critical choices where I lost myself in Lose because it didn't matter what Lose was, and I suppose that's the point of the Western RPG. You can develop a character and you can play to suit your style, but my style is to just get on with the story. And I need a game that will actually make it fun for me to not do that. Because my style of play means that when I hit a game like this, I'm looking for one of 2 things. Fun and an engaging gameplay loop, where controlling the characters, moving around and engaging in combat if there is combat or decisions or whatever it's asking you to do, whether it's shootings, hacking, slashing, jumping, collecting things. It's got to be fun in the moment. I've got to actually enjoy playing it. And then number 2, it's the ambience, the experience, the storyline. And I don't only play games that have story. One of my favourite gaming series is Sonic the Hedgehog, which is arguably at its best when the story is purely just, you're here, gotta go there, defeat that enemy, go. The more they add to it, the more complex they make it, the worse that franchise gets. But where are the good Western RPGs that will actually solve this dilemma for me? That will make me want to experiment, make me want to play around. So I've given you Divinity Original Sin 2, played it last year. I think that gave me a taster for what the genre can do. And by the end of 2022, I want to have properly immersed myself in one game of this style. But I don't know where to start. What recommendation can you give me for something I should revisit in 2022 and try and get this proper experience of losing myself in a character of my own creation? Because to be blunt, the decision making about what items you harry, the decision making about what equipment you use, the best game I've ever had for that is Resident Evil 4, where your choice was what you fit in your suitcase, and you're limited by the number of slots in the suitcase. Not a single Western RPG has given me a better choice by choice, do you use this, do you keep it, do you discard it, experience than a survival horror action game from the GameCube in the early 2000s. And I think this largely has something to do with my hatred of crafting systems. I have never enjoyed video games that make you... Collectathon's fine. I'm fine with going to collect stuff, to find resources. But games with complex crafting systems, it's a major turn-off for me. It's not a part of the game I enjoy going, finding resources to make an item, to upgrade it to a better item, and then you find this resource which allows it to upgrade it that way. I think the first time I ever encountered these kinds of systems was back in the Kingdom Hearts games. Okay, that's not the prime example, but the crafting systems in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are the worst part of those games. I played through them as a fantastic experience, and then at the end of the game, in order to unlock everything, to say I've completely completed it, I had to go back and farm certain areas, kill the same type of enemy again and again and again to get the certain items I needed to have synthesized everything with the Moogles. And my experience has never improved from that. Even games like Breath of the Wild, I finished it with an inventory where I had 99 of most items that weren't extremely rare, because I just collected all of them and I used none of them. I never thought, okay, I need to stop here and I need to mix this item with this item to make this healing item. Anything more complex than A plus B equals C. I hate crafting items. I hate menus. I hate systems that pull you out of the game to make you constantly look at this infinite resource list of stuff that you've collected, because you don't know what is rare and what's not rare. Okay, sometimes you do know, it tells you. And that just makes it less fun. It's taking you out of the gameplay to make you care about menus. And that's what I've always hated. What game where crafting is not the point of the game? Because if you tell me the game I should be playing is Minecraft, I'm just going to laugh and say no. I've tried. Fun to play around with, fun to mess with, but the crafting mechanics of Minecraft are where I switch off and go, I have no interest in this game. So don't give me a game where the purpose of the game is crafting, but if it has crafting, make it fun. Because games like Xenoblade Chronicles, which is one of my favourite role-playing games the last few years, the crafting mechanics in those games, it's not that I don't understand them. When they force you to do the tutorial, I get it. You collect resources, you can improve armour and equipment. But to do that, I would have to stop playing the game that I enjoy playing, to muck around in a menu, to have a percentage chance of this might be better or it might not be than what I'm currently playing. When I'm playing these sorts of games, I have a simple decision tree. Is it becoming too difficult? And I actually quite like a challenge. I like difficulty. I am fully prepared to grind, and this could be a problem. I probably should grind less. But if I'm playing a game, I will just hack away, hack and slash, and if it's difficult, that's good. It's a challenge. I'm testing myself. And eventually I'll reach a hard point where I can't proceed any further. And then I'll go into the items and I'll see what I have that I could use to upgrade myself, get more skill points, spend some coins, what better armor, go back to the shop, see what you have. And then I'll go and I'll just dominate with the better armor, but I'll only buy stuff that is intrinsically and has a 100% chance of being definitively better than what I currently have equipped. So, an example stat, if you have strength, defense, magic, 3 stats, it better be significantly better in 2 of them in order to offset that it's even marginally slightly deficient in 1. Because 90% of the time, if I'm playing these games and I go to the armor shop and I see, oh, okay, I could get something that's loads the better strength, but it's worse in magic, I don't buy it. I don't equip it. If I can't see anything that's not definitively better than what I currently have, I stick with what I have and I get good. I train, I practice, I just level up the old-fashioned way. And games that don't cater to that, I struggle with. This is me playing the games wrong. But I also maintain the games are doing a very poor job of explaining to me why I should care about their menus, why I should care about their crafting systems. They feel bolted on to game worlds that don't deserve them. So help me. Find me a game which will help me bridge this gap. Divinity nearly did it. It got me there, but fortunately Divinity was very light on crafting. had all of the other stuff, like respecking characters that it got me to engage with. And yeah, I had a great time, but it did not force me to go down a crafting system. I just had to make sure one of my characters had a lot of strength, and then I could hoard everything. I could just carry every item. I never had to drop anything. And when I did, I just dropped the stuff that was cheap and disposable or sold it on. And I don't think that's how you're meant to play the game. I don't think you're meant to play Divinity Original Sin 2 carrying every item you've ever picked up. Making sure that I have a character with maximum strength stats in order to not become over encumbered. It's a problem. Come on, gaming world, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Please, if you've listened to the end of this video, comment and tell me. I need your help. And have a fantastic 2022. Happy New Year, everyone.